Kelly's senior brother by Yuiguang hit and killed someone. She wanted me to pretend to be the perpetrator and take the blame for her senior brother. At that moment, the true love shackles system collapsed, telling me that the mission had been completed and I could return to my own world. I promised Kelly, and under her gaze, I rushed through the fence and fell from the bridge several hundred meters high. Later, in a world without me, Kelly became a zombie. The story is about to begin. If you like it, remember to like and follow. At 3 a.m., Kelly called and said she had been in a car accident. I drove quickly to the scene of the accident. The moment she saw me, she seemed to have seen a life-saving straw, and there was finally some light in her eyes, as if I was the person she cared about the most. If she didn't hold another man in her arms. The scene of the accident was extremely tragic. An old man was lying in a pool of blood, already dead. Kelly hugged the man tightly in her arms and looked at me pleadingly. She was pale with fear, no longer as proud and dignified as before. "David, as long as you can save my brother, I will give you half of my property." It turned out that she wanted me to take the blame for her senior brother and be the perpetrator. Even though she and I have been married for 2 years, her heart is still only with her senior brother, Robert. At this moment, the last bit of emotion I had for her disappeared completely. At this moment, the shackles of sincerity collapsed, and the system told me that I could return to my world. I was overjoyed in my heart, but I didn't show it on my face. I calmly told Kelly that if we wanted to save Robert, we had to be real, so I would just drive my car and hit him again. She cried with joy and comforted Robert, telling him to reassure her, completely disregarding my feelings. I turned around and got in the car without even looking at her, and stepped on the accelerator. As Kelly watched, the car broke through the fence and drew a perfect arc on the bridge several hundred meters high. The moment the sun rose, the car fell. I saw Kelly's smile gradually freeze on her face, and finally turned into a heart-wrenching cry. "Goodbye, Kelly. Never see you again." When I was selected by the system, I had just graduated from college and was on a road trip with my classmates. As a result, he got into a car accident and fell into a coma. I grew up in an orphanage and graduated from college with great difficulty. I thought I was about to start a new beginning in life, but I almost died. When I was unconscious, the system found me. It promised that as long as I completed the mission in the mission world, I could return to the real world and wake up. The mission is to conquer the heroine Kelly and break the shackles of true love. I decided to give it a try and agreed to the system. In the blink of an eye, you enter the mission world. The new identity is that I just graduated from college and am ready to start working. The first time I met Kelly was when I was jogging at night. I passed by a park and saw a man pulling a girl into the shadows. The girl was struggling desperately. As a passionate young man, I naturally cannot stand idly by. Finally, the man was driven away and the girl was rescued. The girl was very beautiful. When she saw that I was injured while saving her, she burst into tears and accompanied me to the hospital for bandaging. She is a beautiful and kind girl, and I fell in love with her almost at first sight. The girl said her name was Kelly. I was shocked. I didn't expect that I had saved my target unintentionally. We added each other's contact information. The next day at work, I met Kelly again. She turned out to be the daughter of our chairman. That's how we became familiar with each other. Later she confessed her love to me, we fell in love, and got married. I never forgot my mission, and I thought that as long as I treated Kelly sincerely, I would be able to complete the mission one day. I even discussed with the system whether I could stay in the mission world after completing the mission, or take Kelly away with me. I still remember that the system said that I drew the conclusion too early. It was not until the shackles of sincerity collapsed that I realized that the so-called shackles of sincerity mission was not to test my sincerity towards Kelly, but to make me give up on Kelly, break the shackles, and stop loving her. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself lying on a hospital bed. I'm back to the real world. When I was discharged from the hospital, the doctors and nurses said that I was lucky to have woken up after being in a coma for so long and to be in good health. Suddenly, I thought of Kelly. If she sees me jumping off the bridge for her white moonlight, will she regret it? The system sent me a video of what happened after I fell off the bridge. After seeing me and my car disappear, Kelly started crying like crazy. She even wanted to jump off the bridge. Robert held her tightly from behind to calm her down. But Kelly seemed like a different person, looking at Robert with eyes full of resentment. She yelled at Robert, she felt that everything was Robert's fault, Why was he speeding? Why did the car accident happen? No matter how Robert tried to comfort her, it was useless. The sky was turning pale, and Kelly's eyes were clearly bloodshot. At this moment, I think she really felt some regret. But wasn't it her who asked me to take the blame for Robert? What's the use of regretting now? These days the system has been complaining to me about its messy code. I studied computer science in college, and I helped fix a few bugs in the system. As a result, the system insisted on rewarding me. It gave me permission. In this life, I can live freely in the mission world and the real world, and I can also check the scenes of the mission world at any time. And I was rewarded with an additional 50 million, which can be used in both worlds. At this moment, I am grateful to my university and my major. Knowledge can indeed change your destiny. I was thinking in my mind what Kelly was doing, and sure enough, a picture appeared in front of me. It's Kelly. At this time, her eyes were red and swollen, her hair was disheveled, and she was curled up at the foot of the bed. I saw that she seemed to be holding something in her arms, and when I looked closely, it turned out to be a photo of her and me. We had some sweet and happy times. That photo was taken on the day we were together. I still remember that day Kelly asked me to have dinner at a seaside restaurant. She walked towards me in a red dress, like a flaming red rose. In fact, I had already decided to confess my feelings to her that day, but I didn't expect that she would speak before me. She came straight to the point and asked me if I wanted to be her boyfriend. As direct and passionate as she is, it's impossible to refuse. I say it's an honor. Then she kissed him. I grabbed her neck and deepened the kiss. At that time, everyone in the restaurant cheered. I still remember her slightly red cheeks, so cute. The restaurant waiter also took photos for us that day. In the photo, I look sunny and handsome, holding Kelly's hand tightly. Kelly is charming and looks very happy. Later we took photos often and our house was filled with our photos. There is a photo wall in the living room, which is covered with photos, recording every moment of our lives. But now, only the one in Kelly's hand is left. Our only photo together. All the photos were ruined by Kelly. Just because Robert said he felt sad when he saw those photos. What's funny is that Robert, Kelly's senior, is also her sweetheart. I still remember that time when I came home from a business trip. I found that all the photos in my house were gone. I asked Kelly the reason, and she said nonchalantly that she wanted to redecorate her house, so she put all the photos at her parents' house. I have no doubt about it. Until I saw the chat history between Kelly and Robert. In the early morning, I had a stomachache and wanted to get up to find some medicine, but I saw that Kelly's phone screen was still on. She must have accidentally fallen asleep while looking at her phone. I wanted to put my phone on the bedside table, and then I saw the content on the screen. Kelly and Robert's chat page. Kelly spoke soft words to Robert humbly again and again. She said she would never take a photo with me again. She said she threw away all the photos. She said don't ignore me. I saw the photo she sent to Robert. It was all our group photos, packed in a cardboard box and piled haphazardly in the corner of the storage room. I can even see myself looking at Kelly with love in the photo. How ironic. That night, I smoked all night. At that time, we had just been married for less than a week. I was pretty sure I loved Kelly, and until I saw the message she sent Robert, I thought she loved me too. So I decided to talk to Kelly. That was the first time Kelly and I had a frank conversation about Robert. Robert was her love interest, but they had never been together and had never crossed the line. I asked her if she still loved Robert, and she said that it was just the feelings of a young girl, and that her love for me was real. She explained to me that Robert was there at the class reunion and so saw the family photos. The next day, she received a message from a good friend saying that Robert had stomach bleeding due to drinking too much. She took down the photo in order to comfort Robert and stop him from torturing himself. I lowered my head and said nothing, and Kelly knew I was really angry. Because her attitude when she spoke to Robert was too humble, as if Robert was the apple of her eye. She assured me again and again that she only loved me, and she was so heartless at the time. She and Robert are just friends. At the end, his eyes even turned red. She has always been proud and arrogant. After being together for so long, no matter if we quarrel or something else, I am always the one who coaxes her. This was the first time she gave in. I was moved, and the look in my eyes when I looked at her became much softer. Kelly then put her arms around my neck and went straight to kissing me. She said she knew she was wrong and that she loved me the most in her heart. I was soon mesmerized by her kiss, and after a night of romance, we reconciled. I thought that was the end of her and Robert. Unexpectedly, that didn't even count as a pause. I was deep in thought when the system voice rang out. It asked me if I wanted to go back and take revenge on those bad girls and bad boys. I laughed at that time, and I realized that the system was so sinister. I asked if that would cause trouble for it, and the system smiled and said that it was the leader and no one could punish it. It said that it had read many romance novels and hated bad men and women the most. I smiled and said I would think about it. I looked towards the mission world again. Kelly seemed to have received a phone call and hurried out the door. She didn't care about her pale and haggard appearance. In the past, it took her half a day to choose a bag when she went out. I saw her go into the police station, and the police said they only found the car, not my body. Let her prepare herself mentally. Kelly cried and begged the police not to give up and to let them keep looking. She even knelt at the police's feet and begged by grabbing his trouser legs without caring about her image. I didn't expect she would go to such lengths for me. A female police officer couldn't bear to watch and helped her up. Tell her that my chances of surviving falling from such a high bridge are almost zero. Kelly broke down and cried until she lost her voice. I watched all this with a blank expression. The system asked me if I had softened my heart and if I regretted it. I chuckled and said that belated affection is cheaper than grass. I just suddenly realized that if you don't love someone, you will really be indifferent when you see her so sad. In the mission world, I am a person who is loved by my parents. I still remember the last time my mother had a sudden heart attack. The doctor in the hospital issued several critical illness notices. The father, who had loved his mother all his life, was so shocked that he fainted. My brother is on a plane coming back from abroad. My sister burst into tears. My heart was so sad that it felt like it was being cut by a knife, but I couldn't fall down. I have to cheer up, I can't panic, I have to handle everything calmly. Kelly and I had been married for just 1 year, and she was on a business trip abroad. I called Kelly that day. No one answered the first 2 calls, but the last one went through. I asked her where she was, almost in tears, and asked her to come back to the hospital as my mother was dying. She agreed. Because my mother was really good to her. Every time she came to my house, my mother would cook a table full of her favorite dishes. She often makes soup for me to bring to Kelly. Kelly inadvertently said that her aunt knitted a sweater for her sister, which was very beautiful, and she was very envious. When my mother heard this, she stayed up for several nights and knitted 2 sweaters for her. Since then, I have knitted some sweater gloves for her every year. Although Kelly likes it, I also feel bad for my mother. After all, I'm old and my eyesight isn't as good as it used to be. Every time I advised her not to knit anymore, she would smile and say as long as Kelly likes it. Kelly's parents are the type who have money and are generous. Not very caring about people. Travel often and let Kelly grow freely. Kelly was sick and hospitalized. My mother was worried that I would not take good care of Kelly, so she stayed with her in the hospital every day. She saw that Kelly didn't like the food in the hospital very much, so she prepared 3 meals at home every day and sent them to the hospital. Even the nurse thought my mother was Kelly's biological mother. She didn't even show up for this elder who loved her wholeheartedly when he was critically ill. She clearly agreed, but she didn't return home and didn't go to the hospital. Fortunately, my mother was rescued in the end. My brothers and sisters and I who rushed back hugged each other and cried bitterly. It had been 3 days since I called Kelly. During this period, she only sent me a few WeChat messages saying that she missed the flight. She didn't go home until her mother was discharged from the hospital. She went to see her mother with a lot of gifts, saying that she missed the flight abroad and later lost her cell phone. Anyway, there were a lot of reasons that prevented her from returning home in time. Her mother didn't blame her, but comforted her. But I always had a cold face and I was very angry. I felt that she just didn't care about my mother. Could it be that her mother is critically ill and she will miss the plane? Seeing that I was in a bad mood, my mother advised me to be considerate and more tolerant of Kelly. At that time, I thought as long as my mother was okay, it would be fine. My brother suggested taking our parents on a trip. He wanted to go out with his parents while they were still in good health. Before leaving, my mother kept telling me and Kelly to get along well. To reassure my mother, Kelly and I reconciled. It was not until later that I found out that she went abroad not on a business trip, but to celebrate Robert's birthday. That's ridiculous. I remember that was the first time I met Robert. Kelly went to a class reunion that day. At 11 o'clock in the evening, Kelly had not returned home and her phone was turned off. Kelly had a classmate who happened to have my contact information and kindly told me that Kelly had been drunk and had given out the address. When I arrived, everyone had dispersed. Only a man wearing rimless glasses was left. Kelly leaned on his shoulder, squinting her eyes, and seemed to be asleep. Maybe it was a man's intuition, but at a glance, I was sure that the man was Robert. Sure enough, he introduced himself to me without any hesitation and said his name was Robert. After a pause, he said that he was Kelly's friend. I nodded politely and took Kelly. He reminded me that Kelly was not feeling well and had drunk too much, so I should take good care of her and remember to make sobering soup for her. He acted as if he was Kelly's husband. I didn't have a good impression of him to begin with, so I said I could take care of my own wife. He didn't say anything else, just followed me out the door. After finally getting Kelly into the car, I saw Robert looking at me with a half-smile. He was nothing like the elegant gentleman Kelly described. He stood at the door of the bar with a cigarette in his mouth, looking like a gangster, and said that he admired me very much. I looked at him in confusion. He then spoke slowly, "David, Kelly is your wife, but can you guarantee that the person she loves in her heart is you?" Before I could say anything, he continued, "How is your mother's health? Last time, Kelly didn't go back to accompany you to take care of your mother in order to celebrate my birthday. You must be very sad. Although you are married, she will divorce you with just one word from me. Do you believe it? You're nothing but a wimp." The look he gave me was full of contempt and disdain. I think he had some misunderstanding about me. I love Kelly, but I'm not a fan. My head is not made of dough. Robert's words were sharp and mean. But it gives me chills. It turns out that she was not on a business trip, and that Robert's birthday every year is more important than mine and my family's. As if by instinct, I punched Robert straight in the face. He was caught off guard and was knocked to the ground by me. I rode on him and beat him, almost to vent my anger. Robert struggled desperately as I punched him, but how could a weakling like him beat me? He started to insult me, each word more harsh than the last. Finally it turned into a plea for mercy. He begged me to stop hitting him. Finally, it was the bar security who pulled us apart. I spat at him and drove off. It was already late at night when we settled Kelly down. I already had a slight fever, and after all the tossing and turning, I felt even more dizzy. After taking the medicine, I went to the guest room to sleep. But I didn't expect that I would be woken up by a basin of cold water. The freezing cold water drenched me through and through. It also made me completely sober. I wiped the water off my face and opened my eyes to meet Kelly's angry face. I couldn't hold it in any longer, and yelled out with all the anger I had last night, "What the hell is wrong with you?" She was stunned for a moment, and then looked as if she saw through me. "David, you are sick. Why do you hit Robert? Why do you humiliate him? Your usual humility and politeness are all fake, right? If you have anything to say, come to me. Why do you bully him?" I bullied Robert? He was the one who provoked me. I didn't care that I was soaked in water. I suddenly stood up and stood in front of Kelly. She was startled, and continued to be stubborn. "Why, you still want to fight with me now? You didn't beat me enough yesterday, and now you want to beat me again? What's the difference between you, a person who uses violence to solve problems, and a hooligan?" In order to protect Robert, he would say anything. "Where were you when my mother was dying?" I just asked, and Kelly shut up. I no longer endured it and asked her if Robert's birthday was so important. Didn't he have a chance to celebrate his next birthday? My mother loved her so much, how could she be so cruel? Kelly took her time to speak and said that she was indeed wrong about what happened that time. But she didn't mean it. She admitted that she went abroad to celebrate Robert's birthday, but she drank too much that day and the alarm did not ring, so she missed the plane. She lost her phone again on the way to the airport. You've had too much to drink, and Robert has had too much to drink? Your alarm didn't go off, so he overslept too. You lost your phone, did you lose his phone too? Kelly, do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I have no brains? The more I spoke, the angrier I became, and my voice got louder and louder. I believe you didn't do it on purpose, but Robert obviously did it on purpose. Can't you see? Kelly continued to defend herself, saying that Robert was more anxious than she was, drove her to the airport, and scratched the car. I really laughed. At this time she was still defending Robert. If he had good intentions, if he was a decent person, then why did he tell me that you went abroad for him, so that he could get a divorce? Kelly said Robert was a simple and kind person. I laughed. If Robert was naive, would he deliberately cause trouble and then rush to complain after being beaten by me? She said I was overthinking it, and she even opened the voice message Robert sent her for me to listen to. In the voice, Robert's voice was a little hoarse, and there was a hint of guilt. Kelly, David looked unhappy when he came to pick you up yesterday. I was worried that he might misunderstand you because of me, so I wanted to explain to him, but he still misunderstood. Did he do anything to you? Remember to tell me when you wake up. I'm worried about you. He was very emotional yesterday. I'm worried that he would hit you too. Are you okay? The word is also used very cleverly. Kelly said she sent a video to Robert, who answered the call but kept covering his face. Robert hadn't even thought to tell her about it, she had discovered it on her own. I really think Kelly is full of water in her brain. Can't she see such obvious green tea behavior? That day we argued and ended up being speechless. Kelly thought I was being unreasonable. I think she is an idiot and she wants to treat me like an idiot too. That was the first time I decided to break up with Kelly for good. After I went out that day, I drove around. I don't want to go on. I asked the system if it could stop the mission. At worst I would be in a coma for life, and I didn't want to endure this humiliation anymore. But the system said no, once the task started, it could not be ended. If I stop the mission now, I will be obliterated. And her consciousness will remain in the mission world, with Kelly, until the end of her life. I was completely desperate. I can't stop playing. I had no choice but to go home, continue living with Kelly, and complete my mission. But I know that I can't love her anymore. From now on, my feelings for her will only decrease, not increase. Kelly saw me go home and thought I was done with the past. She said she saw Robert being beaten and she said those nasty words without thinking, and asked me not to take it to heart. She rarely stayed at home on weekends and didn't go out. She took the initiative to cook a table full of dishes for me, and she said she wanted to spend a good time with me. I also joked that if she and Robert really had something going on, she would have married him a long time ago. Why would she marry me? After hearing this, I just smiled and didn't say much. She thought I knew nothing. She married me because she was pregnant with Robert's child, but Robert would not marry her. Because Robert was not only her senior, but also her Aunt Jenny's fiancé at the time. She wanted me to become a father, so she took the initiative to propose marriage. Robert and Jenny are childhood sweethearts, grew up together, and also know Kelly. When the two were in love, Kelly often went out with them. The day Kelly confessed her love to me was because she was rejected by Robert. It turns out that I am also part of their emotional manipulation. But Robert and Kelly are a pair of morally corrupt people. After they each had a partner, they actually hooked up with each other. Maybe it's for excitement, maybe it's for the novelty. Robert was already engaged to Jenny when Kelly became pregnant. Robert knew that if he chose Kelly, he would break with the entire Kelly family and lose Jenny's financial support. That's right, Robert is a gigolo. So he resolutely told Kelly that he could only marry Jenny. He also made many high-sounding excuses. Kelly is not only love-brained, she is simply brainless. She believed it and even wanted me to help raise their child. As a result, Kelly's health was too poor and she suffered an unexpected miscarriage. I didn't know any of this. I just remember that Kelly said during that time that she was going abroad to visit her aunt for a few days. I didn't expect that he went out to recuperate. Jenny told me all this. She said that Kelly visited her and Robert many times when they were abroad, and she always thought that they had a good relationship as aunt and niece. I didn't expect Kelly was trying to steal my girlfriend. There is also a stack of photos, which Jenny says are all evidence. I looked at a few of them and they were disgusting. There are chat records between Robert and Kelly, intimate photos, and video screenshots. Jenny has not married Robert yet, but they haven't broken up either. She said she would not break up until she got back the money Robert had taken from her over the years. Kelly's family is rich, but the one who is really rich is Kelly's grandfather, who is Jenny's father. When you have a daughter in old age, you will naturally spoil her. All the property was left to Jenny, and only one company was given to Kelly's parents. Robert's parents settled in the South after their business failed. Jenny pays for all of Robert's expenses. I have spent a lot of money over the years starting companies and investing in projects. Jenny said she told me all this so that I could see Kelly clearly and not get too involved. The system popped up again and asked me what I thought and whether I should retaliate against them. This time, I smiled and said okay. When I returned to the mission world unscathed, Kelly was at the bar, drunk. The moment Kelly saw me, her eyes lit up. She stumbled towards me, ignoring Robert's pull. He threw himself into my arms, his hands constantly groping my face, as if trying to confirm whether the person in front of him was real. Until I called her Kelly. She burst into tears instantly. She hugged me and cried, completely ignoring the strange looks from people around her. I stroked her back, coaxed her, and told her that I was back. I glanced at Robert from the corner of my eye. He looked shocked and panicked. Yes, I am back, and the old man who was hit to death by him has really left. Who will take the blame for him? Kelly changed her usual behavior and ignored Robert, just holding my hand tightly and refusing to let go. It was as if I would disappear again as soon as I let go. Robert was no longer as distant towards Kelly as before, but now seemed to be a bit entangled with her. He told Kelly that he realized that she was the one he loved the most and he couldn't marry another woman. He and Jenny have broken up. Jenny had lost contact with Kelly a long time ago. Kelly didn't know that Jenny broke up with Robert because she finally got back all the money she had given to Robert. Robert must be panicking now that he sees me back. Judging from Kelly's state after I disappeared, it's not hard to see that she has fallen in love with me. If I die like this, he is sure that he will be able to take down Kelly sooner or later. But now that I'm back, it's hard to say what's going on. Kelly took me to the hospital, checked me out, and made sure I was not injured before she felt relieved. After returning home, he took even better care of me and his attitude was much gentler than before. I even thought that if Kelly had treated me like this from the beginning, we would definitely be a very loving couple. That day Kelly hesitantly said that Robert wanted to come to my house to apologize to me. I didn't object, I also wanted to hear what nonsense Robert could say. Robert came to my house carrying lots of gifts. I wanted to laugh because I saw a game console among them. I bought it for Kelly. Unexpectedly, she gave it to Robert, and even more unexpectedly, Robert gave it back to her. After many twists and turns, the item finally returned to its original owner. Robert said it was all his fault and that he shouldn't have agreed to Kelly letting me pretend to be the culprit. He also said that he was very regretful and felt very guilty. When he saw me fall off the bridge, he was extremely sad and said that he couldn't eat or sleep for several days. Pray for me every day, hoping that I can come back safely. At the end of his speech, his eyes were red and his face was full of sincerity. I thought about all the sad movies I've seen and tried to stop myself from laughing. Robert, he should be an actor. If the system hadn't given me permission, I would have really believed it a little. Unfortunately, I saw it. Kelly cried every day after I fell off the bridge. He tried to jump off the bridge to find me many times, but was stopped every time. As for Robert, he was drinking with his friends and complaining that I was a short-lived person. I also planned to sell my house and buy a new one. Kelly gradually got over her sadness, and Robert spent every day with her. Just the day before I came back, the two of them slept together. Right here in my house, on the bed I bought. So, Kelly burst into tears of excitement when she saw me, but I felt nothing at all. The old man who was hit and killed by Robert had no relatives, and the police could not find his family. Kelly bribed a passerby to give false testimony. He also paid a large sum of money to hire someone to replace the surveillance video so that it would appear that the old man had run the red light himself. But I won't let Robert off so easily. I pretended to promise Robert that since the matter was in the past, we should not mention it again. Although Robert was skeptical, he gave up when he saw that I didn't take any other action. Robert's company closed down because Jenny withdrew her investment. Kelly arranged for Robert to join her company, Kelly Family Group, which is where I work. Being on the same level as me is really ridiculous. It took me several years of hard work to become a director, but Robert became a director right away when he came. I said that I still needed to rest, so I quit my job. After all, the system rewarded me $50 million, and the system said it would help me. I acquired a rival company to the Kelly Family Group. The Kelly Family Group was originally a company with potential. But since Kelly's parents handed the company over to her, things have gone from bad to worse. Kelly's mind was all on Robert, and she didn't manage the business properly. Her parents certainly could not have imagined that the foundation they had worked so hard for their entire lives would soon be lost. I hired a professional manager and I won't be involved in anything personally except the final decision. So Kelly only knew that her company's orders were often snatched away by rival companies, but she didn't know it was my doing. In fact, I had planned to leave her some assets. After all, she has lived a life of luxury since she was a child and she cannot survive without money. But a dog will always eat shit. Although Kelly treated me much better than before, I still couldn't resist Robert's temptation. I often communicated with him privately and met him secretly. She loves me very much now and feels that her home is only possible with me. But she can't do without the stimulation Robert brings her. I want both. Then you will get nothing. Just when I was hesitating whether to completely destroy the Kelly family group, Jenny contacted me. She noticed that there were several extra transfers from Robert's overseas accounts and asked me to pay attention. When I checked, I found out that Kelly had transferred some assets to Robert without my knowledge. There was no other way but to contact professional managers. It was time to bankrupt the Kelly family group. The Kelly family group is completely gone. Kelly's parents learned from other employees that Kelly was poorly managed, often selling inferior products as good ones, making dirty money, and ruining her reputation in the industry. The two elders were so angry that they didn't want to recognize her anymore. They scolded her and went abroad to live with their eldest daughter. At this point, I didn't want to pretend anymore. I asked Kelly directly why the company accountant said Kelly transferred money to Robert multiple times. Kelly stammered and couldn't explain clearly. She didn't expect me to know about this. After all, the company's accountant was her classmate, so how could he betray her and tell me these things? This classmate was the one who told me that Kelly was drunk and asked me to pick her up last time. She had long been fed up with Kelly and Robert's behavior. Especially when her grandmother was sick and there was no bed available in the hospital, she asked Kelly for help. Kelly agreed but forgot about it because she went skydiving with Robert. It's not that Kelly doesn't want to help her, she just regards Robert as the most important person, and accompanying Robert is the most important thing. So I forgot. I was smoking in the stairwell of my company and overheard someone crying. I realized it was the company accountant and asked him what happened. So I asked my sister to help her solve this problem. She probably feels like she owes me a favor. So I was told about Kelly's transfer. Kelly said Robert borrowed money from her, and she didn't have much, so she used the company's money. This woman is really stupid. 30 million was transferred to Robert. The company doesn't need to operate, but the cash flow is not enough, so she ordered the purchase of inferior products. If it weren't for her behavior, the company wouldn't have disappeared so quickly. I changed my previous attitude and asked Robert to pay me back. That was the company's money, and the money was transferred directly from the company to Robert, which was embezzlement. No matter how Kelly persuaded and begged me, I would not change my mind. Either pay the money back immediately, or Robert can wait to go in and operate the sewing machine. Robert made all kinds of excuses and just refused to pay back the money. Finally he admitted that the money had been lost. I almost laughed out loud. Jenny is really cruel. She found someone to lure Robert into investing. Give him some sweet treats first, and when he takes the bait and invests more and more money, you can close the net. Jenny said that now all the money Robert owed her was paid off. Robert couldn't come up with the money, and Kelly couldn't do anything about it. She could only cry and beg me to let Robert go. I said yes, but I want a divorce. As long as Kelly agrees to a divorce, I won't pursue this any further. Kelly disagreed. She asked me about my well-being every day and cooked different kinds of meals for me, even though I didn't eat a single bite. Robert came to beg Kelly again, even kneeling down, asking Kelly to save him. Kelly still refused to give in, so Robert stopped pretending and the two of them fell out. Robert said that if Kelly didn't agree to divorce me, he would tell me that Kelly was pregnant with his child. He also threatened her, saying that he had a passionate video of her. If you don't want me to know, just agree to my divorce request immediately. Kelly cried, scolded him and slapped him. He immediately fought back, slapping Kelly to the ground. Kelly looked at him in surprise. She certainly couldn't imagine why this happened. How could the man whom she had loved and protected for so many years hit her? When I turned around, the two people who were arguing saw me. There was no longer any life in Kelly's eyes. She knew I wouldn't look back this time. Kelly agreed to the divorce. After all, there is no property to divide, and the house is my premarital property. The cooling-off period was 1 month, during which time I provided the police with evidence that Robert had hit someone. When the police went to Robert's house, he was about to run away and even hit and injured a police officer, which added another charge to his name. Now Robert has gone in and is operating the sewing machine. After the 1-month cooling-off period expired, Kelly and I got our divorce certificate. Kelly in front of me looked more haggard than ever. It can even be said to be embarrassing. He has lost a lot of weight and his cheeks are sunken. I haven't taken care of my hair for a long time, so it looks frizzy. She was not wearing any makeup, and her face was pale and bloodless. He looked completely withered. Kelly was distraught as she walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. She wanted to hold my hand, but I avoided her. With tears in her eyes, she stammered and asked if she could hug me again. I was just about to refuse. A tall girl with delicate makeup took my arm and said with a smile, "No, David is my boyfriend now, and you can't have close contact with other opposite sexes." After saying that, he took me away. After getting in the car, I saw from the rearview mirror that Kelly was sitting down at the door of the Civil Affairs Bureau, crying bitterly. The female voice beside me sounded, "Why, are you soft-hearted?" I smiled and turned to look at her. How could that be? I wouldn't cheat. If you cheat, I will keep you in the mission world and assign you various difficult missions. That's right, the girl next to me is the system. We are together. I didn't expect that she would show up. That day I said that after the divorce I would return to the real world. She cried with joy and comforted Robert, telling him to reassure her, completely disregarding my feelings. I have to find a beautiful girlfriend to make Kelly regret her decision and be heartbroken. I smiled and said that beautiful women are hard to find. A small system appeared. She is a bright and beautiful girl. She said shyly, "You are lucky, I also want to fall in love." I smiled and hugged her. Of course I am lucky to meet you. Later I returned to the real world with my little system. One time I suddenly thought of Kelly, and the scene appeared in front of me again. Kelly held our photo in her hand and asked everyone she met, "Do you know David?" The whole person is like a walking corpse. I quickly asked the small system to cancel my viewing permission. But she shook her head and smiled at me. "If you make me sweet and sour spare ribs, I will cancel it for you." What can I do? I can only pamper her. Oh, by the way, I named her Linda. Later we were together and would never be separated.